Hello, YouTube. This is Dr. Ronald W. Satz, founder and chair of the International Society of Unified Science and president of TransPower Corporation, a commercial and custom software manufacturing and certified systems engineering company. We do science, engineering, management, consulting, and set up networks. Today's screencast will, of course, be about the reciprocal system of theoretical physics, and we're going to look at 10, quote, unexplained mysteries of stars and the reciprocal system explanation. We'll do 5 of these today and then 5 the next time. This list of 10 mysteries comes from the website listverse.com, December 12th, December 6, 2012. So I will go through these mysteries and then I will explain the reciprocal system solution. So here we go. And by the way, this was by Michael Thomas. And he says, I typically do lists on unexplained mysteries which have little scientific proof of existence, such as hauntings. Well, that's garbage. While these tales are a fun read and may even send a shiver or two up your spine, to me the greatest unexplained mysteries of all are about things that we actually know to exist and which defy everything we know to be possible, at least parenthetically according to conventional theory. And he continues, I'm a scientist by trade, so it's absolutely fascinating to me when I run into something that we can't comprehend, despite the vast amount of knowledge available to us today. Outer space houses the majority of these real mysteries. What is dark matter and dark energy? Is there life on other planets? This list will look at 10 scientific mysteries contained within the night sky. Enjoy. Okay, so the first one, this is 10. We're going to count down from 10 to 6 today. He says the star that shouldn't exist. The star in question is called SDSS J102915 plus 172927. Those are coordinates, by the way. For the record, I much prefer simply named stars as opposed to ones named like this one. The odd names do serve a purpose, though, as they are typically coordinates for where the star can be found in the sky, just like I said. And he continues here. In 2011, a team of European astronomers discovered this star in the constellation Leo. It is a small star, only about 80% the size of our Sun, and is believed to be around 13 billion years old. And I'm going to say here right now, that's just nonsense. Since the universe as we know it is itself thought to be around 13.7 billion years old, and that's based on the idiotic Big Bang theory, he says this is considered one of the oldest surviving stars. Nothing is particularly unusual about this star, except that according to all of our theories, he means the conventional theory, it shouldn't even exist. The star is made up of 99.99993% hydrogen and helium, but that's only on the surface, by the way. And he says elements that are too light to condense to form a star on their own. When these figures are put into any star formation supercomputer simulation, the result always comes back that such a star is not possible. Astronomers are puzzled as to how such a star could have formed without the aid of heavier elements. Research is ongoing. Okay, well, let me explain that the heavier elements are in the core. There's gravitational segregation in a star. It is nonsensical that the conventional scientists think that hydrogen and helium exist throughout the star and that the surface values are the same as what's in the core. That's nonsense. There's gravitational segregation. The lighter elements are toward the surface and the heavier elements are toward the core. Now, as I say here, the universe is cyclic. There was no Big Bang, and there's not going to be a heat death. And incidentally, those are two singularities. Singularities should not exist in the physical universe. And if there were a beginning to our cyclical physical universe, then the original subatoms and atoms would have been dispersed all over the place. They wouldn't have been concentrated into a dot smaller than an atom, like the conventional theorists say. And if there were a beginning to our cyclical universe, it would have been about approximately 100 billion years ago. Since since each half of the cycle takes approximately 50 billion years. To complete the cycle is 100 billion years. So it's at least 100 billion years old, not 13.7 billion years old. And the space-time progression accounts for the expansion, not the so-called Big Bang or the so-called dark energy. And okay, here we go again. Heavy elements are not created in supernovae explosions. They're created by neutrino addition of lighter elements. So this star is perfectly normal. It's not really a mystery. At least it's not a mystery to the reciprocal system. Okay, let's go to 9 in the countdown here. So the author of this piece continues, the star is surrounded by spirals. Located 400 light years from Earth in the constellation Lupus, SAO 206462 gained the attention of astronomers in 2011. What surprised them was not the star itself, but what surrounded it. It seemed to have spiral arms rotating around it. Now, spirals are no strangers to space, being one of the common formations for galaxies. But scientists have never observed one rotating, I guess he means rotating around a star before. The cause is still a mystery. Although a widely accepted theory is that gravity from planets forming in the dust which orbits the star are responsible for the features. However, there's not enough evidence to support this theory until planets are actually detected. It's likely to remain a mystery. Well, I say here in response, it's possibly a close binary system with one star having considerably more mass than the other and therefore drawing mass from it or from the interstellar space. What's really going on, there's not usually a mass transfer between the two stars of a binary system. The reciprocal system is based on mass accretion. It's slow, but stars gain mass over time. They don't lose mass. They gain mass from interstellar space. This happens to be a case where the star is in an area where there's a tremendous amount of dust and gas. So again, it's not a mystery to the reciprocal system. Now let's go to number 8. The eternally youthful star. Messier 4, or M4, is a globular cluster about 7,200 light years away from Earth. If galaxies had human life cycles, this one would be an old-timer 12.2 billion years. For any who are unfamiliar with astronomy, it is believed that all galaxies eventually become globular clusters once all the gas and dust used for star formation has been depleted. What nonsense, I say parenthetically. This means all the stars are expected to be very old stars in the late stages of their lifespan. This is because, I'm going to interrupt here, the conventional theorists think that globular clusters are old, whereas in fact they are relatively new. They form in intergalactic space. They're young, not old. Okay, so he says, this means all stars expecting to be very old stars in the late stages of their lifespan. While looking at stars in this particular galaxy in September of 2012, a team in Chile found a star rich with a material called lithium. Although lithium is not an uncommon element for a star, it is a compound which burns off typically within the first few billion years of a star's life cycle. As most of the surviving stars in this cluster are around 10 billion years old, finding a star with this element was like finding a needle in a haystack. It's like a teenager living in a nursing home. It just doesn't seem to fit. So I just think the star may have found a way to actually replenish its lithium supplies, which in a way keeps the star from aging. Many have nicknamed it the Fountain of Youth star. Exactly how it replenished lithium supply is a complete mystery which still puzzles astronomers today. And my response is, globular clusters are actually much younger than conventional theory suggests. In fact, galaxies form from the combinations of globular clusters. Of course, there are elements heavier than hydrogen, helium, and stars. If we could peer into their cores, we would see all kinds of heavy elements. Lithium is not unusual. This star is simply getting lithium from the surrounding dust and gas. It's on the surface. It's going to proceed down into the star below where helium is. Simple. Now, number 7. The stars that escaped a, quote, black hole. So the author of this piece goes on. This mystery deals with probably several million stars as opposed to just one. At only 2.5 million light years away, the Andromeda Galaxy is the closest spiral galaxy to our own. Anyone with an Apple computer running Lion should have a good idea of what this galaxy looks like. In the center of this galaxy is a supermassive black hole. And I chuckle at that. Like one enormous vacuum cleaner so strong that even light cannot escape. And he continues. In 2005, the Hubble Space Telescope zoomed in on the galaxy's core and discovered a blue pancake-shaped disk rotating dangerously close to the black hole. Further analysis showed that this was not just hot dust. The glow was coming from millions of young blue stars. These stars are zipping around the black hole at more than 2.3 million miles per hour. That is fast enough to circle the Earth at the equator in only 40 seconds. The thing about this disk is that, given what we believe we know about the tidal forces around black holes, they should not exist. The gas which formed them and the stars themselves should have been torn apart by the immense gravity of the black hole. How they were able to remain intact in such a close orbit remains a mystery. Okay, and the reciprocal system response is, black holes are fictional. Yes, there are high concentrations of matter in the centers of galaxies, and we call this matter white dwarf cores. Supernova explosions here are quite common. Stars can be ejected out. Some will leave the galaxy, rogue stars or hypervelocity stars. Others will go into orbit. Singulators do not and cannot exist. What goes into the galactic center eventually comes out. The hot blue stars in the galactic center are actually old, not young. Okay, number 6, this last one today. The Siamese star, Swift J 1822.3-1606, is a special type of star known as a neutron star, which, again, that's nonsensical. Located about 20,000 light years away in the constellation of Ophiuchus. There are generally 3 ways a star can end its life: as a white dwarf, for small stars like our Sun, as a neutron star for much larger stars, or as a black hole for the largest. Again, this is conventional nonsense. The latter 2 are formed following the largest explosions known in the universe, supernovae. The author continues. There are a few different types of neutron stars: a magnetar, with the strongest magnetic fields in the universe, and a pulsar, which shoots beams of electromagnetic radiation from its pole, somewhat like a lighthouse. For years, everything we knew about these stars told us that they could only become one or the other class, never both. But in 2011, Swift was discovered to have the properties of both. It's only the second star found to have such qualities after discovery of another a few months before. The mystery. Astronomers have no idea how a star can possibly exhibit properties of both stars. But the fact that we've discovered 2 in recent years means that they are more numerous than once thought. We're still not close to discovering the secret behind these mysterious stars. Again, this is not a mystery to the reciprocal system, and I say in my response here, if the parent star had high concentrations of iron, which is quite likely because iron builds up with time, the heavier elements build up. Of course, unless they fission, according to the particular time in which the star is at. The pulsar here would also have high concentrations of iron. It's no big surprise. When iron is fissioning in a supernova, not all of it fissions. A lot of it is dispersed into the white dwarf or the pulsar. So hence the magnetism. It's spinning, like a spinning magnet. The pulsar is not a neutron star. It's comprised of atoms just like any other star. Reciprocal atoms are the size of the so-called nucleus of conventional theory, incidentally. And I bet that eventually spectroscopists will find that, in fact, pulsars are comprised of normal atoms, not neutrons. So we'll be waiting for that. Anyway, by the way, pulsars, or their matter, eventually leave the galaxy and enter the cosmic sector. White dwarfs eventually move back to the main sequence. So there is no star death. Everything in nature is cyclical. For some reason, my opponents in theoretical physics keep thinking in linear terms, from the Big Bang to the heat death. This is nonsense. Everything in nature is cyclical. Okay, that concludes the presentation today. Study the reciprocal system and prove it for yourself. For the simplest treatment of the reciprocal system, see my book, The Unmysterious Universe. For the most comprehensive work, see my work, Existence and Interactions, a computational treatise of the reciprocal system, the true theory of everything. And if you want to apply the theory in scientific and engineering practice, I have the reciprocal system, microcosmos database, and macrocosmos database. All of these are available at Amazon.com and transpowercorp.com. You can see my author page at Amazon for all of my work. Thanks for your attention.